Welcome back to the SawDust Factory. Today we're going to be finishing this natural edge cut maple bowl. This was the bowl that I turned in the twin silver maple video series. If you haven't checked that out, go watch it. It's pretty good. In that video I went and picked up the wood that was left on the side of the road, and I cut a natural edge bowl, this one right here, and I cut a conventional style bowl out of that one piece of wood. I've been doing a lot of finishing with this feed and wax wood polish and conditioner. It's pretty common. You can get it at Lowe's or Home Depot, whatever your big box store is, but it works really nice to kind of bring out the shine and really put a good finish on the wood. I also recently finished this big guy here, one of the first ash bowls that I turned that was natural edge style, to try and bring out the split or crotch section of the wood right there and the great feathering. So this has been a recent finish this week. On these bowls here, I still got to go back and clean the foot off of them. So today, that's what the project's going to be. A little bit different. We won't be doing any turning in terms of cutting, but we'll be finishing this up. The process does involve a lot of sanding, so I'll speed up most of the video, but I'll kind of talk you through my general finishing process when it comes to one of these. Alright, well, stick around. I hope you enjoy the video. During the finishing process, I use these green sanding discs from Vince's Wood Wonders, and I go from 80 grit all the way up to 800. I start with 80 and 100 on the drill typically. So during this first part, I'll be using the 80 grit on the drill to clean up a lot of the lines left by the tool gouge. In this particular example, I got quite a few actually. I'm not sure what I was doing when I cut the inside of this, but there's a lot of spots where I pick the gouge up and then change the general line of cut. So our goal is to smooth all those out and then take out any grain tear and clean up this CA mark here. Okay, so I almost got this side done. I got a little bit of a line right there I want to come back and clean up, and a little bit down here. One thing they say is that the first grit and the last grit are the hardest ones to sand, and that's for sure. Alright, I'm pretty happy with the inside of that. Got most of the lines out. There's a couple dips in here, and most of the green tear out is gone. A little bit on this bark spot right there. A couple other bark spots, but okay, we're doing it with the 80 grit. Notice when I sand the back, I put the light back here, and what I'm looking for is any of those residual lines or kind of like big lumps, things like that that we need to get out. So Now that we're done with 80 grit, I'm going to switch to 100 grit. Move the light back up front here. And with 100 grit, I'm going to do the same thing, only I will not have to stay in one spot nearly as much. The goal is just to cover the entire surface and then move on to the next grit. Okay, there's 100 grit finished up, so we're going to wipe it off. And from here on out, I'm at 120 grit. We're going to do things by hand. I know what you're thinking. This guy's a sanding masochist. Crazy. But no, things do get a lot smoother from here. Ha! Pun fully intended. Get it smoother? What I'm going to be applying at this point in time is a special grease that will make this process easier. It's called elbow grease. Okay, enough of the bad jokes. That's what I think of when I'm doing the sanding. Really, really bad jokes. But 120 grit, here we go. We are gonna go with the grain through these sections, and then in these sections, I usually just do like a circular pattern and try and hit these fins as much as possible without rounding over the bark edge, without rounding over the bark edge or making a big mess of things. So that's what we're gonna do now. Let's go at it. Okay, so that was 600 grit we just went through. So we went all the way by hand from 120 all the way down to 600. Hitting each grip and wiping it off in between grits when I remembered. Definitely not perfect, but it looks really good. The next step I always do is to blow it off really good with some compressed air. So because I don't want to make the shop all dusty tonight, I'm going to fire up the compressor and blow it off outside, and then I'll bring it back in and show you what it looks like. Okay, so the moment of truth, this is why we do all the sanding, right? Putting the finish on. I just took it outside and blew it off with the compressor. Get all the dust out of the wood pores as much as possible. Putting my finish on. Put the feed and wax on pretty heavy. Let it sit, and then I usually try and kind of buff in the extra. Well, that's what I was hoping I would not see, and I do see some of it out on the wings here. The thing about maple is it's easy to sand. The bad part is it's hard to tell when you're done. So this dark streaking through here signifies that I've got grain laying over in the end grain, so I didn't sand this good enough through here. At this point in time, because I put the finish on it already, I won't be able to clean that up, unless I were to try and get the finish off and then sand it down the rest of the way. So it is kind of what it is at this point in time, but I was hoping I would not have that. It's not too bad, but it's definitely noticeable, especially by me. Other people might not notice it, but I will. This piece does have some really nice grain effects through here. I don't know if you can see that, but you can see the ribboning through here on the piece. So when I put the finish on the back, one of the things I'm going to do, which you can't see, so I'm not going to move the camera right this second, is I will keep the finish off of the base from about 1 inch to 1.5 inches away from where the chuck is gripping it. Mainly because when I go back to sand that area, I don't want the finish kind of clogging up the sandpaper. That tends to happen. Okay, so here's the back side of the bowl with the finish on it. Note I kept it about 1 inch or so away from where the chuck jaw or where the foot of the bowl was. That way I can come turn that off and not get the sandpaper all clogged up when I do the sanding on that. To finish the foot, I'm going to use my tailstock with the, not with the pointed tip on it, the aluminum tip, but with the cone tip. Going to be using this live center here. It's got the cone tip and the point in the middle. I like to use the point in the middle when I'm doing this because I can really find the center of the bowl and seat it in there. So I've got this bowl was pretty well indexed right there, so that's the center, so that's what we're going to aim for. I'm going to place 2 pieces of shelf liner on this piece of walnut I got fixed into the chuck with a simple worm screw. Place the bowl on here. Pull this tailstock forward. Another way you can look to see what the bottom of the foot is going to look like and how the contact with the table or flat surface you put it on is going to be is to lay, of course, a straight edge across it. So you can see here, out on this point right here, I have a lot of contact that I don't really want in the bowl itself. So we're going to have to blend that back into this curved surface here, and we'll just do that by sanding. Okay, let's do some blending with some sandpaper. I'm up to 320 right now. looking pretty good. Making sure to wipe all that dust off there before I move to the next grit. I'm just kind of using my hand for that. Got one little spot right here where there's just a fuzz of tear out, and then a little bit around the rim, but I'm not terribly concerned with it. Right there, that's where the tear out is. You can see it when I rub the dust off with my finger. Okay, here's the finished piece. Looks pretty good. The bark stayed on it for the most part. I chose not to really do anything about these spots here. Thought they looked pretty good. And here's the bottom. I signed it for Mother's Day. It's gonna be a Mother's Day gift. So it turned out pretty good. The bottom of this was a little bit challenging because of this spot here over on the left. See how it's kind of high compared to the spot over on the right? And what that does is it makes it want to kind of rock, but in this scenario it worked out pretty good. I was able to get that spot out of there. Another way to avoid that kind of situation is to leave a little bit of the tenon on the bottom of the bowl and then use that as the foot. So here you can see I used it in this example as the foot. And what I'll do is I'll take the gouge in from the bottom of the foot and I'll just cut a simple radius. Now that radius won't come out as an equal circle all the way around the edge of the bowl, but I'll go back and kind of fudge that in by just sanding to get it where it needs to be. A little bit of dirt on the bottom of this one. So, okay, well, I hope you guys liked the piece, and hope you enjoyed the video. It's probably a little bit boring with all the sanding, but wanted to give you a good demonstration for finishing the bottom of a natural edge bowl. Check out my channel for other wood turning videos. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching.